Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss pre-market video for Wednesday, June 28th, 2023. I'm Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss. Happy Hump Day, everyone. Here's a look at the daily time frame of the ES. Very tiny range heading into the RTH Open right now. 10.5 points. 10.5 points of range. That's 21% of average here. 21% of average, been averaging 45 on a 10-day basis, 35 on a 5-day basis. Right now we're at 10.5 points of range as the market awaits Fed Chair Powell speaking yet again. So Fed Chair Powell will be speaking each of the next two sessions. Today begins at 8:30 a.m. Central, and Thursday morning will be at 1:30 a.m. Central Time. So two times here, very different times, but again, right now the market trading very quietly ahead of that 8:30 a.m. open time and ahead of Fed Chair Powell speaking. So that could provide some volatility here later today and into Thursday's trading with two back-to-back days of speaking here. Now, in terms of the chart right now, tremendous squeeze in the previous session. We mentioned watch the 43.90 level. If price can push back above 43.90, we could get a surprise rally, and that played out in tremendous fashion. Right now, price holding above the 4400 level here. That's right around the previous session's midpoint, previous highs, and the idea here is after strength yesterday, any morning weakness could be seen as a buying opportunity for bulls looking for a check mark trend day to the upside. And based off of the rejection here that we saw yesterday in the rally, we could be looking at a return back to recent highs, perhaps as high as 4,500. Now, any failure to hold that 4,400 or 43.90 could open up a failure down below. But again, we've been trending up. The market has had a very bullish overall trend and tends to snap back after these pullbacks. We'll see if this is another one of those instances. Again, a failure to hold 4,400 on a closing basis by the end of the day could be a sign that we may indeed push lower. So right now, very early signs here of a pullback buy opportunity into 4,400 up ahead. You want to look for signs of rejection on any pullback, and again, keep in mind Fed Chair Powell could provide quite a bit of volatility here. If we take a look at the NQ, similar price action, very bullish chart overall. Again, we mentioned the previous session here, pre-market video, that if price can get above that 975 level, we could see a squeeze back up. If price can close above the previous session's midpoint, it'd be very reminiscent of how this market has behaved within this bullish PIMA trigger zone overall. And that could provide a nice continuation higher. And you can see here the midpoint 15K coming into play yesterday. That's the level to watch in the NQ. Very similar to that 4,400 level in the ES. If this thing pulls back to around 15K or just below it, that could provide an opportunity for bulls to defend. Bullish checkmark trend day up could ensue as this thing returns back toward the previous week's high price. So that could be a play ahead. A failure to hold 15K again on a daily closing basis could be suggestive of a failure to come. So keeping an eye on 15K here today. We take a look at crude oil. Right now, this one's trading just off of the 67s. Got a low today of 67.05. We've talked about how this market has continued to trade just above 67 and hold that level on multiple attempts. But we're also seeing kind of a rounded top up here. We're seeing lower highs off the right edge. This tail that played out over here with the midpoint, we now seen price close below it, which was a sign of weakness, and now we're testing 67s yet again after a bit of weakness here. So as we mentioned before, 67 at some point could see a break. If we get a breakdown, that could open up a return to new lows on the year. Lows below that 64 there, but also perhaps into some downside targets below. As we talked about before, we have a great channeling behavior here that's played out. If we look at this channel overall, it lines up very nicely with a potential move into see VPOC below and also the lower portion of the channel. So if we do drop, perhaps we get into that lower portion of the channel down here. That's around 56 to 57. And then from there, perhaps we bounce back up to 70, which is the area we've been chopping around for a couple of months now. So do we get a drop in return? That could play out very similar to something like we seen last time around earlier in the year, where we went sideways around 77s, then we drop and rally. Perhaps this is very similar here again. So 67 could be the gateway to more movement up ahead. At the moment right now, hanging in there at that zone. But again, a break at 67, whether it's today or in the days ahead, could be significant. All right, taking a look here at gold futures. This one has struggled at the 1940 level and hasn't really seen a tremendous failure at that level yet until, you know, this week basically. We've now seen price come into 1940 and drop each of the last couple of days here. We're now on a Wednesday and we're on a new low. Inverted checkmark trend month down after a big rejection month in May. And the idea here is to give up 1940 now. You are now leaving behind this upper distribution, which was bisected here, and you are now rotating down back through the previous distribution, which could take you into 1830, which is the previous year's close price, and into VPOC below 1810 and the other edge 1800. So for the most part, this market right now is slow playing this move a bit, but it has given up that 1940 and could be moving back down within the previous distribution up ahead. And keep in mind, as we head into next week's trading, we have a lower value relationship that is currently developing. So any bounce next month, even if it's back above 1940 briefly, could be seen as an opportunity to sell for new lows up ahead, very similar to what played out this month. So that could play out again next month. Lastly, taking a look at the YM trading a super narrow range right now, 73 points of range. That's 21% of average. The NQ is trading 27, and the ES is at 22% of average. So 21, very, very narrow. Barely registers on the chart, this tiny little doji-like bar. Now, in the previous session, great squeeze to the upside. You can see price pushing through the previous high. You have the midpoint that lines up at that area. A pullback into that zone could be defended for a continuation in the near term to the upside. So that's going to be the level to watch. The previous session's midpoint is 34.067. The prior high before that, 34.072. So somewhere in the 34.075 to 34.100 zone, a pullback into that area could provide a buy the dip. And if we see some upside movement off those lows, it could be a move that takes us about 300 points. So look up about 300 points and you could get a target up above. If you fail here at this area, then you start to work your way back down to the bottom of the range, and things could get very hairy if you start to break 33.800, as 33.315 would be the next target below. All right, that is it for now. We'll see how this plays out heading into the rest of the session. Good luck, trade well, and I'll see you in the trading room. Take care.